Robert Maudsley, also known as Britain's most dangerous inmate, is on hunger strike. Now, this has been going on for a number of days now, and Robert Maudsley, for those of you who don't know, is the longest serving inmate in solitary confinement, coming up to around about 43 years, I believe, and he's been in prison for 52 years. Now, Robert Maudsley has been living, shall we say, as comfortably as possible in the unit inside of HMP Wakefield, also known as Monster Mansion. He's made it his home, or they've made it his home, and he's become comfortable, which you would do after that amount of time. But they've went and disturbed his little pad, disturbed his little surroundings, and disturbed what he has become known as home, with his little essentials. Now, before I get into it, if you do want to buy the merchandise, click on the link or go to the link in the comment section. This is for the likes of Maudsley, Bronson, the IPPs, anyone that is against it. Check out the merchandise in my store. Now, apparently this has all started because there's been a rumour or an allegation inside of HMP Wakefield that a prisoner has smuggled a gun into the prison. So as they do with allegations like this in a high security prison, the prison gets put on lockdown. Now, we don't know exactly the extent of this and how much of it is truth, because although it is truth that he's on a hunger strike, what I mean by the truth is the severity of it, whether or not the whole prison is still on lockdown, or whether or not they're singling Maudsley out, which I find hard to believe, because obviously with him being so dangerous, and he does have 4 victims under his belt, if that's what you can class them as, because Robert Maudsley only takes out bacons. Robert Maudsley ended the lives of 4 individual bacons, one on the streets of London, which he was imprisoned for and put into and put into Broadmoor, which is a hospital, it's not HMP, where him, along with another bacon, believe it or not, Cheeseman, ended the life of another pedo, which he was then transferred to HMP Wakefield for a bacon prison. Try and figure that one out. He's known for ending the lives of bacons, but they've put him inside of a bacon prison. And for those of you who aren't familiar with the slang term bacon, it comes from inside the prisons. Bacon bonds equals nonce. And Maudsley is a bacon killer. And ironically enough, he's requesting bacon. He's on hunger strike, but he says he'll eat some bacon in the form of a human. So there's plenty to choose from inside of HMP Wakefield, Monster Mansion, Bacon Playground. So why don't they just bow down to his demands and chuck one of these creatures in and get rid of them? But on a serious note, he's on hunger strike because they've took his PlayStation and his hi-fi set out of his pad. Now, being in high security prisons myself, I know when a lockdown occurs in these prisons, it's totally different to when you're in what you would class as the normal prisons, the Cat B's and C's, and your local prisons. If these prisons get locked down, they'll search for weapons or whatever. It's normally hours at a time, 1 or 2, 3 hours at the most. Then everyone's open back up for association to carry on going about the normal activities inside of prison. But if it's in a high security prison and you get locked down, you're locked down for days. Sometimes it could be a day or 2, depending on how severe the activity is that's happened inside of prison, or the occurrence, which on this case, there's been an allegation of a firearms inside of prison, which obviously is a massive issue. Because if that sort of thing did happen inside of a high security prison, you can only imagine how long the place will be locked down for if they did seriously think that had actually gotten inside the prison. The prisoners wouldn't be coming out at all until it was found, or until it was found that the allegation was not true. So the reason why they'll have took his items off him, more so the hi-fi and the PlayStation, is so they can take it down for x-rays to see what's inside of it. But if they thought he had a gun, which is a load of bullshit, they're probably just going through the, going through the procedures of doing this to every inmate. But in Maudsley's case, they haven't given back his items. And this is why he's went on hunger strike. Because like I'm just talking about here, if there was that sort of allegation and they had to scrutinise the whole prison, they would, even though firearms you would be able to tell by the weight of a PlayStation or a hi-fi. But what they would have to do as procedure is take everything down. They've got an x-ray machine inside the prisons, which x-rays the visitors' items coming in to visit the inmate. So these are the machines that got to get used to x-ray everything. So I'd imagine if this was true and this was the case, this is what they normally do. They take everything down, as in your hi-fi or a PlayStation or whatever console you've got, and they put it through the x-ray machine, bring it back to you, give it to you, there's nothing inside. Sometimes they might say something and they will purposely keep a hold of your items just to piss you off. And this is obviously what they've done in Maudsley's case. And he's went on hunger strike. But he's 71-year-old. He's been in that same cell for 42 years. And as you can imagine, any little disruption in your shitty little daily routine is going to have a profound impact upon your mental health and your state. So Maudsley has took it upon himself to go on hunger strike. But at 71-year-old, going on hunger strike, especially when you're eating the shite inside of prison, which isn't very nutrient rich to start with, not having anything at all, you will not last very long inside of them places. So hopefully Maudsley gets a bit of bacon soon, wink wink, and he gets back on to his healthy eating. And he does get himself back on track, because everyone who's read into Maudsley's case will agree that keeping him in that sort of environment, more so even just in that prison, not even just the fact that he's in what people think it's like a Hannibal the Cannibal style cell. It's just a double cell which does have what you would say a perspex front of the door on, so that they can see inside of the pad. But it's not a whole glass cell, as in the press is trying to describe it as like a Hannibal the Cannibal style cage. It's not like that. It's just a double pad. Made him as comfy as possible because they know that he's never going to be getting out of that unit. But putting him in that sort of environment for that amount of years, surrounded by that many bacons, is just torture in itself. So Maudsley has done well to cope with that and not take the easy way out, as a lot of people would. And he's carried on doing his time, and he will do his time till the final straw, because he is doing life without parole. But he could have been put in something a bit more comfortable, as in a main location wing with elderly patients on, people like himself, people like Bronson, and give him a little bit more freedom, because he's not allowed any human contact whatsoever. He can't touch another man's hand to shake it. He can't have any contact whatsoever, because he's ended 3 lives inside of prison. He ended 2 inside of that same prison. I got distracted before, I didn't want to finish the story. When he'd done the one in HMP Broadmoor, inside of Wakefield Prison, he went out looking for someone, or looking for a number of bacons, to be honest, to take back in his pad and end them. He took one in and ended his life, and then he was enticing others in. But they must have known what was going to happen, and they could see what was happening outside on the landing. And the rest of the bacons were like, nope, no way I'm going in there with you, Maudsley. So they give it a miss. So Maudsley went hunting for bacons. He seen him one lying on his bed, chilling back, reading a paper. He went in, garroted him, bashed his head off the wall, and killed him there and then. That was his 4th bacon who he'd taken inside of prison. So Like I've said, for me personally, I think it's been a bit harsh the way he's been treated by the authorities. Why put him in that prison in the first place? If they'd put him in a normal prison on a normal location, London, he might not have went on to do that. But because they've put him in a place full of them when he was abused himself when he was a kid, that's why he's went on to do these offences, because he didn't like what he was seeing on the streets of London when he was working as a rent. Don't want to say the full thing because YouTube will flag it up, because you're all been a bit funny lately with the different terms that you use on here, so you've got to be careful. But yes, Maudsley should not have been put on that wing in the first place, and he probably wouldn't have been sitting in there doing life without parole in a pad that he's not allowed to leave and not allowed any human contact with. But I will keep you all updated to let you know exactly what's going on, and as far as I know or what I do hear, because I do hear from different sources about what's happening inside the prisons. So hopefully Maudsley will be back on his food soon. Full fat bacon, more so smoky. I'll leave that one there for now. People, hopefully you are enjoying the content still. Remember to comment, like and subscribe. And if you want the merchandise, more so the Bacon Bachelor t-shirts, click on the link in the comment section. Take care everyone.